Hello, lovely Psychologies readers. It's great to meet you. I am Lucy Edge and I am the founder of Yoga Click Store, which is the ethical and sustainable yoga shop for mindful shoppers, people just like you. We sell yoga clothes, yoga equipment, yoga gifts and yoga jewelry. All of it is mindfully made by yogis, and many of them are yoga teachers, but all of them have been inspired by their practice to create for you. The link is coming up in the comments now. Do check us out. And there's a cheeky discount code for Psychologies readers too. We're giving 15% off all 60 of our yoga brands, including Asquith and Urban Goddess, Natalie Bond, Ecotext and Starseed. And that discount code is live until the end of the month. So take a look, have a look at what we've got. Everything, as I say, is made by yogis, all mindfully made and all ethically made and sustainable as well. And I had an idea for the shop when readers of my book, Yoga School Dropout, got in touch to tell me that they too had been inspired by their yoga practice to create for their fellow yogis. And so I decided to create a platform, a marketplace, that would showcase that amazing creativity. So here we are, 2 years later, 60 brands and rising, which just goes to prove there's a whole lot of creativity in the yoga community. Now, we all love Black Friday, and it starts tomorrow, although it does actually feel as if it's been going on for the last couple of weeks, doesn't it? But there's that fantastic triumphant feeling of snagging 40% off or actually getting a complete freebie. But there is also joy, as we know as Psychologies readers, in cutting a different path, which is being an ethical shopper. So you already know that ethical shopping helps to change the world. Of course you do. That every pound that we spend has the power to drive another stake into the earth, positively impacting people, animals, and the planet itself. You know, we choose cosmetics which are not tested on animals. We shop fair trade to support workers in developing countries. We boycott palm oil to help save orangutans and the rainforest in which they live. And that gives us all a great feeling we're really doing good, and a lot of ethical brands are giving money to causes close to their hearts with every purchase this Good Friday. Everlane, for example, is one of my favourite brands, and apparently one of Meghan Markle's favourite brands too, is donating $13 for every order that is placed to fund beach cleanups across the country. And they're doing that through long-time beach activist, the Surfrider Foundation, which I think has been going for about 30 years now. And they're doing an amazing job. Everlane's goal is to raise $260,000 over the course of this Black Friday period, which is enough to keep 20,000 pounds of garbage out of the ocean. In previous years, they've actually closed their shop as a mark of sort of disrespect for Black Friday, if you like. But I'm really happy they're doing it this way this time. I think, you know, doing something that's really positive, giving some money, you know, really acting out of their own principles is a fantastic way to contribute to the planet. And that's why at Yoga Clicks we're doing that as well. We're putting people and the planet first. Last year we gave away yoga classes to help everyone keep calm with the all of the stress of Black Friday of snagging that bargain. But this time we wanted to create our first ever Give Back Friday. And what we're doing is giving 10% of all sales made in our yoga shop from this morning through to midnight next Tuesday to the charity Opening Your Heart to Bhutan. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Opening Your Heart to Bhutan before, but it's an amazing charity. It was founded by my friend, yoga teacher and Buddhist nun, Pema Deki, who divides her time between the beaches of Whitstable and the mountains of Bhutan in the Himalaya. And what she's doing is dedicating her life to improving the lives of children in Bhutan, giving them better access to education, to medicine and to social care. She's actually written a book about her experience as well, which is this one. It's called Set Free, and it describes her transition from investment banker, working out in Hong Kong at one stage, to Buddhist nun. And it's a great read, not least because she actually, well, there are all kinds of amazing revelations in it, but it's an exciting read, and one where she ends up in Jakarta getting held up at gunpoint. And that, as you might imagine, is a life-transforming moment for her. Anyway, all of the sales from this book go to raising money for her charity, for Opening Your Heart. And there's much more about the charity's work on our blog. The link's just coming up now in comments. So please do check that out and find out a bit more about the charity. It's got some ideas in there for how you can help that she's looking for volunteers at the moment in the UK to help to spread the word. And please do add your own comments throughout this whole thing. We'd really love to hear what you're thinking and what you see as being the best perks of being an ethical shopper. Now, of course, this type of ethical shopping isn't itself enough. That's why we do it. You know, we're doing it to contribute to the environment. We're doing it to contribute to the planet. We're doing it for people in developing markets to give them better lives. But it's always good news when there is a personal payoff too. And in fact, ethical shopping has some really serious personal perks that are really good for your body and for your soul, perks that are immediate, that are right here, right now, available to you, perks that can seriously impact on your well-being, financially, socially, emotionally, and even, dare I say it, spiritually. So the first of these perks is your health. We all know that a greener car will have you breathing easier, that an allotment will give you nutritious vegetables. I think those are all well-known facts. But it's the kind of smaller things that I think we all need to watch out for, things that maybe we take for granted. For example, I was really shocked to find that the candles that I bought in the supermarket were full of paraffin wax. Well, actually, it wasn't a shock that they were made of paraffin wax, but what was a shock was that paraffin wax creates carcinogens when it's burnt. And these carcinogens are known, that the product is still sold. So do look out for that on any candles that you buy, because the toxins that are released are, believe it or not, identical to the ones that are found in diesel fumes. Ugh. So ethical fragrance is the thing to look for here, and the ethical fragrance really strips it right back. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some amazing makers. Our fragrance makers that we have on Yoga Clicks are all making paraffin-free and lead-free candles. And that's brands like Made by Cooper's, Wild Planet, and the very lovely Natalie Bond, one of my favorites. So basically, there are no chemical fillers in any of these products, no harsh preservatives, no artificial colors or synthetic fragrances, just 100% natural essential oil. So that's the thing to look for wherever you are, wherever you're shopping. That is the thing. Do not buy paraffin-filled candles. Perk 2 is one that was close to our heart. So saving money is a good one to talk about on Black Friday particularly. I think there is a common perception, and it's one that I held myself for a long time before I really got to work with these makers and understand some of the issues at stake. That perception is that shopping ethically is very expensive. And that's certainly been my own experience. But the thing that I wasn't thinking about before, and that I would urge you to consider, is the other side of the coin, which is that you can actually save money when you shop ethical because your purchases are going to last longer. Mindfully made clothing is always well-made clothing, and it always outlasts cheap, disposable fashion. And when it's time to say goodbye to a much-loved piece of clothing, for instance, my beautiful Urban Goddess top, then what I'm really glad about is that Urban Goddess and a number of other ethical businesses are offering me a way to contribute, to recycle. Because what's going to happen to this tank when I finally decide to part with it, which is not going to be for many years, I don't think, but if it's still wearable, it will go to people who are in need. And the ones that aren't wearable are going to go to a fabric recycling facility, which is going to help produce blankets for homeless people. So that's really a great way of making sure that whatever you've bought is going to provide value, not just for you, but for other people as well. And it's going to be a sort of gift that goes on giving, if you like, until well into the future. Perk number 3 is personal empowerment. One of the emotional perks of ethical shopping, I think, is this great kick you feel, this great feeling of empowerment that you get when you buy something that's ethically made. A new dress, it's always going to make you feel personally empowered. It's setting you up for success in a meeting or perhaps for going on a date. But buying into an ethical company's mission and cause, knowing that that purchase decision that you've made is creating immediate change and planting seeds for future change, also gives you a kick that might just give you that extra edge in that meeting or have you shining from within on that date. So that for me is a great thing to sort of look out for. I think that our makers are doing that in lots and lots of different ways. One of my favorites is Solo Soul, who are a Californian brand, but they actually make their products in Bali. because they found this amazing sort of small run business that they just sort of fell in love with and they wanted to support. So they make everything out there. And I guess a perk of that is they get to go to the beach quite a lot, as their Instagram feed shows. But they're also dog lovers, as am I, although I'm still working on getting my dog. But in the meantime, I can enjoy the fact that the sister founders, Trina and Charlene, give a portion of the proceeds to Bark, is the name of the charity, Bali Dog Adoption and Rehabilitation Centre. And what that charity does is work with abused and neglected dogs. So every dog is rehabilitated so that they can be adopted. So perhaps one of these days I'll persuade my husband that we should adopt a dog from Bali. I don't think he's going to like the weather much, but it would be great to be able to support that. As well as being dog kind, I also believe in being humankind. And £1 from the sale of every Bliss Cloud yoga mat, this is Bliss Cloud here, is donated to the Karuna Trust. And Karuna Trust is a charity that Anna, the founder of Bliss Cloud, found and loves and wanted to support. And they're a non-profit Buddhist charity. Inspired by Buddhist values, it's basically there to end caste-based discrimination, poverty and inequality in India and Nepal. So whenever I'm on my yoga mat, that's a really nice thought to have when I'm practicing, that what I'm practicing on is actually, you know, contributing to something to end poverty and to inequality in a faraway place, but that's affecting me here and now as well. I also get a special kick when I discover that as an ethical shopper, I'm empowering my sisters, so other women running small-scale ethical businesses like Trina and Charlene at Solo Soul and Anna at Bliss Cloud. In fact, most of our makers are women. They're women who've done sort of quite big careers and who've generally found themselves through yoga and wanted to contribute to sort of give back in that way. So the more purchases that we make, the more we are supporting the creativity of female makers, the better that they then do, the more of a hand up that they can give to other women. So we've got this lovely sort of roll on, passing the baton sort of effect. Perk 4 is one of my favorites. That is a deeper connection to like-minded people. This can happen in a few different ways. Just by buying an ethical brand, suddenly you're part of this amazing groundswell of like-minded people who are making the same choices as you. Congratulations, you have found your tribe. And that's one of the feelings I get working with these makers. I really count myself lucky to be working with these amazing women and a few men as well, who are really sort of committed to making the same sort of choices as me. And they are leading me as well. And I'm finding things for them. And it just all sort of works as one big happy family. You might start sharing what the ethical business is creating on social media when you found a brand that you really like, and then use common hashtags to find like-minded people. Or you could make it official by becoming an ambassador, like my good friend, the singer and BAFTA award-winning Sarah Class, pretty amazing lady who I met. And she was a YogaClix customer. She rang up because she wanted to ask a question about a product. And we ended up talking for about 45 minutes. And then the next thing I knew, we were having a cup of tea. Actually, it was a glass of wine in London. And we've been great friends ever since. So it's been a great pleasure of mine to meet her and to find out, you know, what she's been doing in her work as a composer. She composes music for BBC, much loved BBC shows, a series like Africa, and she is an ambassador for one of our favourite charities, the Sir David Attenborough charity, the World Land Trust. So who knows what you might be inspired to if you jump into a role like that, whether you become an official ambassador or an unofficial one. One thing is for sure, it's going to be an adventure. You should check out Sarah Class's song, I Will Fight, on YouTube. It's shot with the most amazing footage from the World Land Trust's own library and introduced by no less a force for nature than Sir David Attenborough himself. There's a link coming up in a minute to her YouTube to have a look at that video. I do warn you, it's got some upsetting scenes in it, but it's a story about how as human beings we can really help to change what's happening on the ground in these faraway places and to really make a big difference just by helping to fight on whatever level you can do. And I think this is one of the sort of messages of, you know, what I would like to share with you in this broadcast is, you know, it doesn't have to be big things. We can do small things as well. We could just share a video that we've seen with somebody else and we will make a difference in that way. I mean, if you do decide to go the whole hog and decide to set up an ethical business, you will also get to visit at grassroots that place. I've already mentioned Trina and Charlene in Bali, and the amazing manufacturing that they're doing out there, supporting a family business. But brand owners who are committed to social sustainability will often visit their makers or their factories at least once a year, in part to check, of course, that the standards are being upheld, in part to see the difference that they are making, and in part to make even more of a difference. It was so inspiring to see Free Spirit founder Christina Gill sharing pictures of the dressmaking tutorials that she gave to disadvantaged Indian girls on her trip to India earlier this year. And Christina was a designer working in some of the biggest brands in the world. You know, she was flying everywhere first class and sipping champagne as she went. And then she took the decision that that wasn't enough, and that now she was going to start, you know, manufacturing her own range of clothing, all of which sort of gives back to, is made by women in India who are disadvantaged. And then she's going out there and actually sharing her own skills with these women too, to help them to learn how to design themselves. So who knows, they may end up setting up a business of their own too. So again, that feeling of sort of passing the baton on is a wonderful one to sort of be connected to. Perk number 5. A deeper connection to nature. I think one of my favourite things about ethical shopping is getting to experience that greater sense of connection to nature, especially if it's an area of outstanding natural beauty like Cornwall. I love that one of our makers, Helen Round, she uses harvested rainwater from her Cornish garden to wash the screens for her beautiful range of hand-printed linen cushions. I personally live in the Norfolk countryside, and one of the things that I love best about the summer is seeing bees swarming the lavender in our garden. So I was very thrilled to discover at the British Wheel of Yoga's festival last year, beekeeping mother-daughter duo Tanya and Esme, and their brand name is Therapy, which literally means healing through the bee. They do these really dinky little gift boxes. And basically everything that they make is based on this nature's most incredible elixir, which is, of course, honey. They are certified organic by the Soil Association. These amazing women are sort of blending raw honey from their hives in the Cotswolds with active botanical extracts to create pure and really sort of vibrant skincare, which, you know, no matter how badly I've slept, or, you know, if I've had a drink or two, seems to somehow manage to restore me back to sort of full health again, at least on the outside. So that's a good one to bear in mind for the Christmas season. My next perk is living with greater meaning. And what I mean by that is placing a higher value on what you have bought. When you understand the provenance of what you've bought, who made it and where it came from, it takes on so much more meaning. Even the smallest of purchases become something to be treasured. So I must admit, when I first heard Emma Leaf's story, she's the founder of Ume incense sticks. That's these little beautiful little products here, tiny little incense sticks, very dinky looking. The hairs on my back of my arms were standing on end, because what she was talking about was how she was inspired to create the brand after several years of traveling, of exploring temples, tea houses and sacred places around the world. And how her incense is made according to what's called the art of incense, which is one of the 4 ancient arts of the East, along with flower arranging, the way of tea and calligraphy. I feel like these are sort of 4 retirement plans that I'm going to follow in my old age. I shall waft around the globe making incense and doing flower arranging and so on. Not really, but anyway. In the meantime, I can have my incense sticks, because the herbs that when I'm doing my practice in my home yoga studio, every time I light a stick of her incense, I can remember this lovely thing that she said to me, that borders are only a creation of the mind. And I think about the people and the landscape of Indonesia, of Tibet and of South America, and that makes me feel so closer to those places, and really gives my yoga practice a sort of deeper meaning than it would do with, you know, a sort of supermarket bought candle. Perk 7 is all about opening your career path. Have you considered that shopping ethically actually does open up your own career path? Now, the reason I say that is because the more successful ethical businesses there are, the more choice of ethical careers open up to all of us. I mean, who would not love to work for a B Corporation? B Corp, if you don't know, is using business as a force for good. Like Lily's Kitchen, which is the only pet food in the world to qualify for a B Corp certification. I did some freelance brand strategy work for Henrietta, the founder, a few years back, the owner of Lily. And I can tell you that doing a presentation with this adorable border terrier lying on your feet has a fantastic impact on meeting enjoyment and on productivity as well. And she has such a happy office workspace. The dogs running, well, they're not running around all over the place because they're actually all very well behaved, amazingly. So but every member of staff is allowed to bring their dog in. I think it's 3 days a week, and they have a dog walker who takes the dogs out sort of twice a day. And how much more of a sort of thrill it is to go to work every day if you're working at a company like that. Not all of us get to work for a B Corp. So I guess the other thing to do is to create your own ethical business and to become a B Corp one day. I will be sharing top tips on how to make that happen on another Facebook Live video quite soon. These will be tips that I've learned from my own experience, having made every single step in the book, mistake in the book, and some of the 60 yogi makers that we work with as well will be sharing their tips too. So that's something we'll talk about on the Psychologist page at some point in the next couple of months. Look out for that. Perk 8 is to get the performance that you deserve. There is a commonly held belief, I think, that you have to choose between performance and sustainability. When I asked the sales assistant in Lululemon whether the yoga pants were sustainable, she told me that while they were working on sustainability, they didn't want to sacrifice performance. And to me, that kind of choice is absolutely not necessary. And I've talked a lot to our makers about that. We sell Starseeds yoga pants, which use a super cool yarn impregnated with waste coffee grounds to absorb sweat. And you're probably thinking, what the hell do they look like? And this is what they look like. They look absolutely amazing and beautiful yoga pants. You wouldn't think, looking at them, that they were made out of coffee, but they are. And they're fittingly called the flat white. And there's another style called the AeroPress as well. So there is absolutely, and these are great. I jog 3 or 4 times a week, and I wear them to do that in. And they remove the sweat just as well as a pair of Lululemons, and they're actually environmentally friendly too. Our beauty brands as well have won lots of major awards, performance awards, despite being entirely made by bees and/or being 100% organic. Several of them use bamboo as well to make clothing because, like cotton, it's naturally breathable and wicks away moisture from the skin. But unlike cotton, it doesn't. It allows the moisture to evaporate into the air much more quickly. So when you sweat, you won't stay wet. You're welcome. Perk 9, less packaging to deal with. That's this one. Another perk. This is a very practical perk. We may like to think that we would like to have the problems of Vogue's beauty editor, Kathleen Baird Murray, who confessed in an article in Vogue, I think it was last month, that her day starts with flattening huge numbers of beauty product sample boxes into her recycling bin. But seriously, as she says, who wants a full bin or a basin chock full of silicone suds? And who wants to fill their cupboards up with plastic and with boxes? So while the beauty industry just does continue to struggle with the packaging that makes up 70% of the industry's waste, 70% comes from the packaging. Companies like the lovely Wren are leading the way, making bottles out of 100% recycled plastic, of which 20% comes from the ocean, which doesn't sound like much, but there was a barrier of it could only be 10% until relatively recently. So they've crashed through that to get it to 20, and I'm sure they're going to work to it being 100% in the not too distant future. But my favourite packaging innovation comes from the good old world of clothing. The gift bags that slow fashion label Starseeds plant are made with almond shells, and the hang tags they make use plantable seeded paper. Now, if you can see that, if you can actually see the seeds in this, but you can give the piece of paper a new life by planting this tag and letting it sprout. So that's got bamboo seeds in it, which is just a sort of fantastic way to bring to life this idea of contributing to the earth. And the final perk, my favourite one, save the best for last, is being part of something bigger. I think finally, as an ethical shopper, you really experience a sense of higher purpose of participating in something bigger than yourself. You're not just buying a yoga product, you're actually creating a better world. So whether you choose a Free Spirit top or a Powered by Yoga tank, It means that you're buying something that's RAP certified, WRAP certified, which means it's a sweatshop-free product with ethical work conditions. So, but that sense of high purpose doesn't always have to have a majorly dramatic cause. Sometimes there's a lot of pleasure just in the everyday. Whenever I think of the Turkish women who make Asquith clothes that are sitting there making, you know, a sort of a bamboo sort of camouflage tank, I picture them on their sun-soaked Turkish terrace amongst the pots of herbs, gossiping over their lunch break, making plans as sort of fueled in small part by all of our purchases. So there's that lovely sense of a positive contribution that we can make to other people, to the planet, and our own sense of well-being. And really, just to wrap up, I think that's what moves me to act on a daily basis. I hope it does you. Remember to shop at Yoga Clips between now and next Tuesday, and we'll be donating 10% of every sale to Opening Your Heart to Bhutan. And as an added bonus for Psychology's readers, as I said at the beginning, in case you missed it, we have a 15% off discount code just for you. Use PM15 to claim your 15% off. Link to the store is now coming up again in the comments, and that discount code. And do have a look at the my blog post on this topic. So the address for that is just coming up now. And I'd just like to finish by thanking Psychology's magazine for their invitation to share with you my thinking. And I wanted to just give a plug to their Leap Club, which is this fantastic online coaching club for all subscribers, where you get supported and inspired by coaches, experts, and psychologists to help you create the life that you really want. What's not to love? So to sign up for that, sign up to the Psychology's newsletter at psychologist.co.uk. Thank you very much indeed for listening. I don't know if anybody's got any comments for us to, or any thoughts for us to discuss, but if not, this video will be up for a while. Please do share it with your friends if you think there's anybody else that you know that would be interested in finding out more about the perks of ethical shopping. Namaste. Thank you very much. Thank you.